Did you know that 70% of healthcare leaders see innovation as the key to industry challenges? In 2023, we dived into building a resilient company culture, countering self-sabotaging tendencies, embracing digital health, and mastering video marketing to grow your company. These episodes provide a blueprint for healthcare leaders to innovate and thrive. Stay tuned for this special episode where we highlight these amazing interviews in one simple segment. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. First up, transition into a culture of success with Terry Russo, as she unreviews how aligning values is not just an internal strategy, but a growth catalyst for healthcare leaders. Share a little bit about your team. How are you creating your team? And then what has been some of the wins or struggles that you encountered there?
Yep. I mostly hire contractors online. I've hired contractors from all over the globe. The key is to focus on what my skills are, differentiate what my skills are and what I prefer to do, what I'm best at, and leave the rest for other people. Like I'm not really a salesperson. I'm a factual person. So I hire out my marketing team and social media help, tech support, things like that. You really do need a team. And I find very helpful websites like Fiverr and Upwork. Really easy to find and qualify people when there's lots of reviews on their work. You can see how much they've worked on those apps before, how many clients they've had and worked for. So I find those very valuable. The challenge with it is some people can just up and leave. I had an amazing VA one time. She just knew exactly what I needed. I told her what I needed. She built out web pages and emails and linked them all together and got processes going. She was fabulous. Something came up and she was no longer available. So that's the thing with contractors is they may not always stick with you, but they're essential to have. And I think it's a great way to do it. Everybody likes working from home now. Try to find a great virtual assistant that can do it all is what most entrepreneurs need.
You're hit it right on the nail. And most people have not realized is that what do you actually love to do and do really well? And that's what I talk about a lot with my clients, what we call that freedom compass, right? And I think, Terry, you tapped into that. You don't need to do everything because as an owner, we need to think as the executive level, as a stakeholder for your entity instead of continuous pouring in. And definitely the silent resignation or the people who just all of a sudden quit on us without a good enough explanation, or despite they have a really great explanation, you still lost someone. So that's a big challenge in many different areas and not just us in the healthcare space. I was just talking to a friend of mine, actually working with her, and same thing happened. She was saying that she took one of her assistants to a conference in California, had a great trip, said so appreciative of her, learning a lot, and then the very next day got a text message saying, I no longer will continue our work. I would terminate immediately. And she was so shocked. And that's sometimes it's hard to judge in what have happened, right? And then that's why we trying to figure out not only the most effective way, what's the structure you can have built, but the quality of people. Do you know their basic human need? Do you know that the internal drive that they have? Do you know what their projection is? How long they actually wanted to stick with you, right? And sometimes even you feel like you're showing them the appreciation, they still somehow felt uneven or not being represented the best way. So definitely developing your team is big, right? And then on top of that, we also continue to grow as an individual, to grow ourselves as a leader, so we can create bigger impact. So what are some of the ways that you have found to work really well for yourself to create that alignment in personal life, business vision, social support, and all kind of combine everything together?
Well, we know that people more and more these days are wanting to work with like-minded businesses that share their values. So I think that, to the best of my knowledge, is possibly the reason why I lost this amazing VA, because I did give her autonomy to do what she excelled at and what she liked to do, and I, appreciated everything she did. But the more she realized where I was taking the brand and such, it may not have aligned with her personal values. People are very aware of that and want to work with like-minded. So I hope it's not becoming more and more divisive, but it's just becoming a fact that people learn who you are as a person and as a business, and the people you're trying to reach based on what values, and do those align with them. So it's tricky when you're hiring people. You don't want to come out of the gate and say, these are my values. You want to, but you don't want to, or you shouldn't, or hiring ethics you can't say. So that's kind of a tricky balance, but ultimately you do want to find people. So it's great to find people through word of mouth, who already have your values. I just really think that people are more likely to stick with you when they know they have shared values with you.
Now let's shift gears and confront the inner obstacle with Dr. Philip Aguirre. Discover personal empowerment as he guides you through the labyrinth of self-saboteurs to seize success.
You practitioners out there, imagine knowing the saboteur of each of your staff as well as your patients. So you'll actually know how to support them in the way they need to be supported, not in the way you think they need to be supported, which is really how you need to be supported. We've taken low performance employees within a couple of weeks, bring them to a high performers, because now the manager or the doc, the business owners, was able to understand that, oh my goodness, this is the problem. And once they were able to shift that, the person shifted as well. And imagine knowing a saboteur of your potential client. You'll know the resistance, and then now you can bring them to your product or service if that product or service is right for them. Karma's a bitch. So we make sure that you do it if they really truly need it. But these are the things that I teach, and many things that I have discovered, because we have this course called Transcendence 101, from self-sabotage to self-made success. And in 5 weeks or less, we guarantee you will stop self-sabotage. We had an acupuncturist just 2 months ago, doubled his practice within the 5 weeks. And he was a supplier saboteur because he was always overly giving. And once he started pulling back and knowing how to do that and feel comfortable with it, patients out of nowhere started coming in. People that were, quote, the pitas, right, the pain in the asses, right? They started going away because he wasn't always trying to keep them because he felt bad. That's not that he was pushing them away. They were just leaving because he shifted. So when you shift your outer world shifts. It's not the other way around. Even the person you can't stand is a part of you. So everything outside of you is you. That person you can't stand is a part of you can't stand. And we see consistently, change your saboteur, use your antidote, change your vibration. Two things happen. That person leaves, or they stay and change to stay in your world. And we've had people I don't know, where patients would start coming in, doing whatever, because they felt different. They were able to do it. And that's where it comes down to there are actually three reasons why we sabotage that we were able to discover.
Yeah, that's a really good segment. We actually have to recognize we get into our own way, and sometimes we don't even know it. And if you don't know what's happening, of course, you can't course correct, and all we see is problems in front of us. And then in healthcare particularly, we are trained to identify problems. So we always oh, who did that? What happened? And thinking that's the only way we can prevent something from happening. But we're not realizing how are we perceive the problem, what our tendencies actually are the cause of the backlog, the conflict, the problems. So
Right.
be able to recognize the sabotaging tendencies and then creating these antidotes is really crucial. So I actually wanted to discuss a little bit more on if you have time, just to break
Sure.
down what could be the antidote for each of them.
Okay, yeah. Before I get into that, one of the things that crucial that we were able to discover is that you ever see the domino masters, they push the one domino and it goes, right? And the last one hits, and let's say balloons are released. That's your imposter syndrome. That's your anxiety, your depression, your stress. Everything you see last, right? So what do? We take our coping methods and do what? We put them on the balloons, not the one domino. What's easier? Hold down the balloons and stop pushing the one damn domino. That's your saboteur. And what was discovered is that saboteur, that one thing, creates all of your negative emotions, all your negative feelings, everything that you don't want. We prove it 100% of the time consistently. So when you push down the saboteur, it goes down the road of frustration. But when you push the antidote, the exact opposite, you go down the road of inspiration and motivation, because it's everlasting. And then during that 5-week course, we actually give you one subconscious word that you use that stops all of your goals. So when we show you 5 steps to offset that one word, you have to achieve your goal. We actually prove that to you. So the antidote, basically, and they can get this through, we'll talk about the quiz, they can take a 9-question quiz, is that the director saboteur, because they're scattered all over the place, needs to become aware and follow through. So I recently had someone say, well, that's simple. I said, yeah, it's simple. Well, what do? I said, that's what we dive deep into. So you really know, as a director saboteur, how to become aware that you're scattered all over the place, or you're hyper-focused because you waited to the last minute. And then when you finally get something done after 2 days, you go, I got it done. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I didn't really organize my time. And now I got all this other stuff I got to do. And then you go back and forth between scattered and hyper-focused. So becoming aware when you're in those areas and then learning how to follow through with specific steps, then you become less chaotic. So my chaos lets me get things done. I said, yes, but when you use the antidote, you don't need the chaos.
In the third segment, let's dive into the digital domain with myself on a health tech women's feature segment hosted by HitLab, connected through Columbia University in New York City. Explore how health tech is revolutionizing patient care, especially in women's health, and what it means for the future of healthcare.
But what have you done to support, to show appreciation? And that's the majority of my role now, is to look into how are we doing the best way, right? Yeah, streamlining is one way to make sure your team knows what they need to do. They enjoy the work. And then when you ask them what their roles are, it becomes internal driven, not external motivation. And that's how we can talk better, change our tonality, understand when it comes to devices, digital health, that's a lot of without you, just like us, right? Without us be able to hold each other's hand, give each other hugs, and actually show much of body language.
Right.
So there's so much more intangible way to communicate effectively, especially when we're on the phone with patient, when you have that telemedicine, when you have no idea what's happening to them. But nowadays, we have remote biometric devices. We can reach out to our patient in different ways. We can even know when they took their medication, when they popped that pill, right? And so much movement go into it. And it's about finding the joy on your own path, while understand what you did and did not do impacts everything. So I had that moment to say, shoot, like I'm here thinking that I don't have enough team. Why are people leaving? I have to carry extra load. It's already 7 p.m. I got a new consult I have to see, potentially adding on to another surgery tomorrow. Well, that's just talk myself down. Right? And making the environment, thinking like the environment is controlling me. So then when I step back to say, I'm not going to allow that happening anymore. I'm going to see what can I do to even just manage what I can control, instead of thinking about managing everybody else and everything else. And that's the dial to start changing. And now be free to talk about it. I think in recent years, especially with COVID pandemic, people are more open to talk about wellness, efficiency. What does that mean? Because at the end of the day, we are all busy, right? And everyone, if you just greet someone, it's like, hey, how are you doing? Somehow we always answer, I'm so busy. Like busyness is a badge of honor. Instead of busyness equal productivity. Right. It's productivity equal efficiency. And it's efficiency equals impact. Now, without the trend of just being busy, you can do a lot of things, but not in the right way, not in the right thing, that will never get you to the future vision that you imagine. Or you don't have a clear aim. You really don't know where you're going, heading. Therefore, you're doing so many things, just trial. And never really give yourself that affirmative and trusting yourself to say, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to give up. I'm keep going. And that, I believe, Nita, you even mentioned, right, how you work in a team, almost like a startups at sometimes when you're in a small team, people wearing different hats. Right. But we have to build in that grit, which is passion and persistence on something that we truly connect with. And if we keep doing self-reflection, it's no longer aligned. We need to be able to be okay to move forward so we can move on.
Yeah. Wow. That was so many just amazing nuggets of wisdom. I wholeheartedly agreed. I'm very inspired already. So thank you so much for kind of sharing that journey. I think it's so important for people to kind of hear. And I love what you're talking about, feeling empowered to have that ownership and accountability over your life and your career. I think that is so important. And some of the things that you were kind of mentioning about your role, would love to kind of double click on. Would love if you could share a little bit more about kind of the work that you do and really what a typical day in the life is kind of, in this role at MRG.
Yeah. So MRG is a technology company really focusing on how do we better serve our patients by giving them the right service at the right time with the right providers. And what does that look like is be the central hub for your patients. We know medical record systems are not built for patient engagement at all. They're just for us providers and nurses to document information and then have a tracking system and somewhat be able to hold record for billing. However, it's very confusing sometimes. Even, for example, Epic has a patient portal. My own primary care has a patient portal, but it's very limited on what you can see. And it's only mostly, right? You have perhaps a messaging portal. That's it. You don't really have much to go on.
Well, people are drowned by information. This final segment illuminates your brand with David's insight on how to leverage video for your marketing. Learn how to capture attention and grow your healthcare brand in a world where visibility is the key.
Just some statistics. I'll talk about the 4 types real soon. Average attention span, 7 seconds. So I just want that to sink in. 7 seconds. So if you give a patient a giant stack of papers about their disease state or their treatment, their eyes are going to roll back into their head or it's going to go in the trash can. Videos are the most effective way and are the most highly profitable way to capture someone's attention using online digital marketing methods, transferring them over to your website and building an engaging online experience and also teaching them about what you do before they even come to your office so that they're warmed up and ready to go and they just are begging to see you. So the 4 types of videos.
Yeah, give us the number 1.
So I'm gonna kind of lay this out in a workflow sense. So Perfect. Let's say I'm a patient, right? And I'm scrolling online, I'm scrolling Facebook. The first type of video that they might see if a doctor was working with me would be a very simple promotional video. It would be talking about their pain points. It would be highlighting very specific diseases or frustrations with the healthcare system and how this doctor or this new practice can solve that problem. So using digital marketing, using ads, you can even use organic tactics. This would be the first kind of video. Very easy. All the patient needs to do is click on it and they'll be redirected to your website. And that's kind of where the magic happens. So on the website, you can use a number of different videos. But another one, number 2, would be called the brand message video. And brand message, in short, is who you are, what's your background, what you do, what's your service, and why should the patient care, essentially. And looping in, of course, all those years of medical school, patient care experiences, and succinctly telling them basically in a 90-second pitch in a video form why they should care.
Yeah, I think that point where you even brought up is short, right? It's 90 seconds. And I believe even for Facebook algorithm, it's 6 seconds. If people watch more than 6 seconds, they move forward. So you want your video to be 60 seconds or less, so they can hit that 1% view time, and then they can actually get pushed out to more people. And not another provider for this problem, but how you do it, what your take, your team, right, make that unique ability. Amazing. So what's next?
So number 3 would be testimonial video. So this would be, of course, HIPAA compliant, no names, no details, but a patient testimonial. You know, what their experience like was before they saw this doctor or your practice, what their experiences were like, and how or who they would recommend this to. So very, very simple type of video, but just gives you that instant credibility as if you're talking to someone face to face. Hey, you need to go see this doctor right away. They're amazing.
Right. And I think someone else, one of my business strategists also talked to me about, let's not use the word testimonial, use success stories, because that has more of a different take when people register. Oh, testimonial. Oh, yeah, here marketing versus success stories. And then you can also potentially make it into the format of, yes, we don't have to talk about name if they don't want to share, but where your life were, right? And then how is that improved? It doesn't have to be that I can barely walk and then now I can attend events on a moment's notice and not feeling like I have to really prepare myself, right? It could be just like that quality of a life of a description. Right. Doesn't have to be, oh, I actually use this medication, into detailed.
People want to see transformation. Patients want to see transformation. They come to the doctor with this health condition, with this frustration. Maybe they've tried multiple doctors, multiple medications. All they really care about is, I'm in pain, quote unquote. Can you get me out of pain? And they want to see that you can get them that transformation. So great point, Sabrina.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate you validating. What's next?
And then the last one I would say most important would be an explainer video. Patients, everybody knows healthcare system in the US is very complicated. And especially if you're talking to an elderly patient, they might be super overwhelmed about technology, about signing up for insurance, about billing. How does billing work for your practice? What website do they go on? How do they book appointments? So explaining to them in very simple terms, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, how things are going to work. How do they sign up? So those be the 4 types of videos. And on the website, once the patient sees all those different types of videos in the content, they'll be extremely compelled to sign up for your service. All you really need to do after that, consistently have book a consultation or book your first visit. So in the same way, patients will want to vet you out. They'll want to know that they can trust you. They want to know your background. They want to know how things work. So imagine having all that built out on your website. You know, perhaps they'll put their email down, and between that time that they put a time down and that first visit, they're getting emails. Here's another case study of another patient we helped. Here's another success story. Here's again the explainer video that we highlighted on our website about how things work. If you haven't seen it, all throughout the process, the patient is educated about what's going on. So once they come see you, they're like, here, take my money. So I find that this is the most effective way to use all these videos and the most effective result.
Change is the new norm. If you can't keep up with the change, you are going to be left behind. More than 70% of healthcare leaders do believe that innovation is the key to overcoming industry challenges. Yet, despite of this recognition, many find themselves stuck in traditional approaches, struggling to make that leap forward, transforming the change. This, combined wisdom from these 4 episodes that are most listened to in the year of 2023 on Provider's Edge give you that comprehensive guide for healthcare entrepreneurs. Whether it's fostering a strong company culture, overcoming inner barriers, leveraging technology, or mastering new marketing strategies, these insights are catalyzing for change and growth. As we look forward to the future, ask yourself, how will these lessons from 2023 can transform your approach to healthcare entrepreneurship into 2024? Share your insight and takeaway from these episodes on LinkedIn and make sure to tag me, Sabrina Runbeck. How will these strategies shape your approach in the new year? Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.